Right, I've been checking the stave out, and to try and lay out a nice straight parallel clean stave, I've run this edge a little bit on the belt sander, and I've got it to sit nicely in this U-channel steel, which I think it's the sort of stuff they use for making partition walls and what have you. I rescued it from a skip, because otherwise it's very difficult to measure a good clean straight line. I mean, a string line's good, but difficult over the nodes, and I've got this sloping edge on one side of the stave. So by adjusting it, I've got it sitting pretty square in this U channel, so I can measure in from this edge, you know, as a centre line or the far edge or whatever. Another cunning part of my plan is if I need to bulk up the belly, I found some more yew. When I was making the original billets for this, I had lots of offcuts that weren't quite good enough or what have you, but I could make up a 3-section belly, so like a riser section in the middle and then 2 sort of limb sections, if you like. So if I get 3 2-foot sections, splice them together. So if I need to, that will be the game plan, because I was thinking I don't really want an ash lamination or a hickory lamination, just belly side of the Ipe, because those woods aren't very good in compression. And why have I chosen yew in the first place? Well, mainly because it's light and it's good in tension and compression. Certainly the heartwood's good in compression. So if I can stick to my heartwood yew core, get that tillering up nicely, then add the Ipe. But we'll see how it goes on the tiller. Right, well, it turns out, having checked the width, it's already 25mm, which is the width of the other flight bow. So measuring 12 and a half across from there, that would be the centre line. At this end it puts the centre line there, which is going to give us a rather narrow tip, but it'll be alright. And that there, so I can join up the dots, draw a straight line and do what I like. Right, so I've drawn up my centre line, and you can see I've got quite a lot of width. We don't have to come far from the tip to give me a reasonable amount. I've trimmed up either end now so that it's vaguely symmetrical. I mean, this end's a little bit wider than the other, but I can put on little temporary knocks that will enable me to get it on the tiller. The string is just taut. I'll just have a quick look and see what's happening. Oh, right, we can see it left limb is weak, and it's got bugger all draw weight, as we call it technically. That's at the 5 pounds, so I obviously need a lot more thickness on the belly there. You can see that's thinner than that. So what I'll do is I'll just mark that as W or U for upper or something like that. But I'm going to need more timber on there, that's for sure. Right, I've tidied up one of my slats of yew, and that's nicely over 2 foot long, so it's pretty handy. Now I might be able to run the bandsaw down the middle to give me 2 belly slats, but I want to do a bit of arithmetic looking at the thickness. Well, obviously if I put that on, that's going to be ridiculously thick. Maybe splitting it will give me about the right thickness. I'll measure it, allowing for the width of the saw blade, compare it with the other flight bow. It's not a bad bit of sawing, and what I did was I marked with an X one edge which I'd sanded to get at 90 degrees to this face, and then used a piece of wood that I checked was 90 degrees to guide it through the saw. Of course, the chances of getting the 2 bits exactly the same are minimal, so one of them's bound to have the odd thin section, and I'll put the thicker one on what was the weaker limb. So, But anyhow, I reckon they're probably thick enough, and they certainly make up for the wood that I lost sawing it out after the first faulty glue up. So that will provide some extra limb thickness. Then we'll have a riser section spliced onto that. Effectively it's like gluing up a second bow, then gluing it to the belly of that one, then gluing on an Ipe belly. It's all a bit of a fiddle, and it's using odds and sods. And why am I spending my time making such a complicated construction? Well, it's just for the fun of it really, isn't it? And you can see it's a quite nice clean section of yew. It's a shame to throw away timber like that, so it's good to use these bits, even if we have got some waggly grain there. Gives me something to do, and you all love it, don't you? I know you're sitting there with your cup of tea. What's Del been up to? What's he breaking now?